Hey there guys, this is Obsidian Chill. Got another video for you today. This is a continuation of my test server videos covering the episode 38 Wonderverse DLC. There's no release date yet for this. This is the 8-player raid, the regular version variant called Fractured Godsphere. At the moment there is no elite variant, they're working on that still. Kind of going hand with no release date because it's still, they're kind of piecing out this DLC, what they have right away. That's why there's no feats for most of the stuff yet either. So I've pretty much covered most of the DLC content so far. So we've got the solo, we've got the open world raid-like bosses, we've got the alerts, this is the raid. You can leave a comment if you want to see the open world missions. There's really, I think there's like 5 or 6 of them in terms of dailies. Now the open world does look really nice. Obviously that was the focus of this DLC, to make it more of like an immersive experience with open world. They did a good job on that. So we'll have to... if you want to see that, I can. It obviously is going to be a shorter video because it's really just me kind of hopping around open world, but I can show you that. But I think the main focus next week of my videos is going to be all the minute changes that have happened. So we've got a new augment system, or new augment leveling system. We've got new base generator mods. We've got new consumables. So that's what my focus is going to be here, because I've had to farm the content to get the materials and stuff for that. And then Monday, this coming Monday, or as of the release date of this video, we have the developers playtest in the evening. I think it's like around like 6:30 or 6:45 Eastern Standard Time. So we'll see how that kind of plays out. If I can sneak in, we'll see how that goes. Obviously, my name is not Obsidian Chill on Test. It's Familia, my old USPC league. But my league tag is I'm Obsidian Chill, so it's not really undercover. So we'll see how that goes in terms of... getting to play with the developers. But you can kind of see with the raid so far, my issue with the raid is that I'm trying to see, it's tough because like I'm not trying to come off as like this, like every video trashing the DLC. Like that's not what I want to do, because I mean it's not really reassuring for you guys, and it's not really like reassuring that you're kind of like the state of the game, or like how the game's going to be, because this DLC is probably going to last until like December. So I mean, I'm not trying to give off that vibe where it's like we're in for like a shitty next 4 or 5 months. So, but it's just it's been really hard. I won't lie. It's been really hard this DLC to find stuff like that. Like the solo is great. I love the solo. I love the alert, but I mean the alert is actually harder than the raid, if you can kind of grasp that concept. The alert is way harder than the raid. I mean, we don't have... I mean, yes, it's early stages. We don't have the elite yet out. But I'm basing that more off what the developers have said about this raid and my kind of expectations in terms of, like... So, let me let you know what they said. So, somebody asked, quick question, is there only one raid in this DLC? And then the developer said, that's correct. We've doubled down on making this one raid fantastic. And have worked to provide these new raid-like experiences in the open world, which you've kind of seen what that looked like the last video. And then another comment was, we've aimed for care and quality in the raid, but it's not overly long or overly difficult to compensate for there being one, but we do intend to offer a real challenge appropriate for each of the versions. So you can kind of see how I can have a little bit of trust issues when we have statements like this and then we're getting the content like this. So I'm going to kind of spoil the raid here a bit. So the raid's about 24 minutes long. Where this video is 24 minutes long. 16 minutes of that is fighting ads, and 8 minutes of that is fighting bosses. So when you have a raid set up like that, it's really tough for a foundation to build on to make it more like immersive or more interesting, or more like adding mechanics and such to it, with just being ad piles. Like I'm Atomic here. I purposely went Atomic to see if it would like help out being able to like teleport the ads closer, but the ads are so far apart, and they're always like in 3 to 4 groups, like groups of 3 to 4 NPCs. They're so far apart you can't actually physically jump that head and grab them. Like you can maybe get one, by the time you pull the one back like 2 or 3 times, if they don't like resist to your pulls, the other group is dropping aggro and it could be attacking players. So it's like, well, the point of you leaving to get the next set of ads is detrimental. So that's the issue I find here, where it's a big it's a big raid in terms of a map, and it's like linear progression where you're just kind of going straight ahead. Like you're not, it's not like a maze or not like a puzzle. It's it's basically here's the start, here's the end. But it's just that there's so many ads spread so far apart, like you can't clear them fast enough. Like it'd almost be worth it if like a second group of DPS like split ahead and like ran ahead with like chronomatic emitters and like DPS them to save some time. Because like honestly I don't know, or just to run like maybe even like a second tank or something, or I don't know, or maybe like one tank and like the controller runs ahead and stuns. But it's just that the issue is that there's so many ads spread so far apart. Like how can you build on that? How can you expand to make something more difficult when that's the setup? So the first cutscene here, I'll kind of be quiet for it.
But I cannot fulfill it if they interfere.
The gods act selfishly, Graham. You need not indulge them.
Such blasphemy.
Once Hebron stores uses Crown, he'll be powerful enough to kill even a new god.
Your so-called greater plan is a murder? We will stop you.
You will fail.
So we got Grail's the first boss. Grail's the first boss continuation from the solo. She's staff based. She'll do a lot of interrupt. So really, it's not the best fight in terms of like an atomic tank, because I'm constantly in my combos. If you're an ice tank, you just sit there and just like tap block, and you would eat her counters because she's always going for like the staff spin or like the 4 or 5 staff taps. She does have a mind control mechanic. I don't have the magic supply crystal supply drop on test server, so I can't test if that breaks it out, but it would make sense because it broke out also of Ivy's mind control. She does have reflecting the bracers. Not really sure how that works, because I guess if you hit her, you get like a massive pushback, because I didn't really take any damage from it, but I got knocked like, halfway across the map you saw there a couple times. But I mean, I had my mass density out for it just in case, but really Grail offers a lot of opportunities for counters. She'll also put these blood pools out. They more kind of like CC you a bit, take some damage over time from them. Other than that, I think she's got a moment. Same thing she does in the solo, where it's like you have to break. I guess you can consider it like an enrage timer for DPS, because you have to do enough damage to break her attack. See right here, damage Grail to stop her attack. The other weird thing is that I think she's got the same bug as before, where if you hit her with an orbital strike, it changes her crowd control immunity. Like in the past before, like like in Prime Battleground, you could like drop an orbital on Brainiac and like you could turn him into a ghost with mental. So because she should not be knocked around like that after an orbital strike that much. Like she was like knocked clear across the map, just being like pushed by the DPS. She's flying right now from Amanda Curry's like lightweight. Like that should not be happening. That's got to be something with the CC immunity. But I mean, she's got the mind control again. I mean, I think this fight was like 2 minutes. But at the same time, she doesn't really have any like AoE damage to the group. I mean, the mind control seems to last a while, but same thing. I'm not sure if the supply drop crystal or like those consumables from Deluge will break it out. Being mind control doesn't really do anything. Like, you just sit there. Like, I've been mind control before, and you just kind of sit there and kind of beat up the air, so it doesn't really seem to affect anything. But yeah, that's the first boss. Not too sure what else to say about it. I mean, that's honestly, like I said before, if you came from my previous video and watched this video in terms of the alert, like Poseidon and like Diana are way harder than Grail in the raid. Like it's way like think of Diana. She had like reflect. She had you had an attack you had to block or get pulled in and take damage. You'd lost your powers. Like what? She had like 4 or 5 different mechanics. In terms of like the statue one and the air storm, like that first fight in the alert had way more mechanics than the first fight in the raid. Like how does that happen? Like I know the alert was Kotoxic, who's really good. Like he did Nexus. Like he's a really good developer. Kind of sketchy on the feedback sometimes with Clock Tower, but I mean he knows his stuff. He knows how to build a raid. And this is TR Lantern. I'm not entirely sure what TR Lantern did before. Kind of coming up. I'm pretty sure he did Phoenix Cannon. Let me just see. Sorry, I'm not more prepared. Like I do on my all this stuff is like live commentary stuff. But I'm pretty sure he did Phoenix Cannon. I'm just pulling up the forums right now. No, he did DME. He did Dark Multiverse. And then he did the Scarlet Speedster solo. He did the JLD Pub Crawl duo. He did Gotham City Zoo. He did the Saving Justice 4-player alert. The Threat Below. Ugh. But I guess that's where all the mind control is coming from. Seeing Shades again solo. So that's his resume. But I mean, at the same time, like Into the Dark Multiverse at least had some mechanic, like not really mechanic heavy, but you still had mechanics. Because the same thing, it just even the ads. Like when you think of a raid, like when you got like Dark Side Multiverse, whatever, Dark Side War Factory, like you had ads that were at least were dangerous. Like I don't even know what these ads do. I don't think anyone's died from the ads. Like you just juggle them. I mean, Atomic is kind of way easier for a juggle, but if you're Ice, you can still do the same thing with a Gale. So it's not a question about these ads being juggled. They just don't do anything. It's just like, okay, you've killed 5 ads. Okay, run like 30 feet down, kill another 5 ads, then run another 30 feet, kill another 5 ads. I mean, the raid looks nice. Like this is all like kind of new styling, new hallways. Like it looks really nice, but I mean that's all like flash and no substance. I mean, it's got to the point where like usually in raids I never have to use the super speed trick to move ahead in ads. Like I did in DME just because of the slowdown from the dot, but you know I'm never doing that in raids to try to get to the next set of ads the quickest. I never had to do that before, but you see this long hallway here. I can't even pull the ads at the end of the hallway. I would love to do that as Atomic, but I'd have to spend like 5 or 6 seconds running down the end, teleporting them back by the time the ads are going to be loose. The same thing with you see the red dots here around the corner. Like, so we're fighting this set of ads. I would have to go all the way up the stairs, turn the corner, teleport the ads back, then teleport the ads back again. They're going to be resisting at that point. So you literally cannot like pull multiple sets of ads at once. Like even this set right here. So I got the top of the sets. I have to go all the way down the stairs, halfway, jump up, teleport back, then run back again, teleport back. One got caught. He's resisting because he's blocking. That's the thing too. After you pull, they block, and you can't pull when they're blocking. So like I'm doing everything I can to try to like group up the ads as much as I can. And because the ads, like you could fight like 30 ads at once, these ads don't do anything. They're just going to be, well, Atomic is going to perma-juggle them. So, I mean, I'm kind of like beating a dead horse because I'm sounding the exact same throughout this commentary. But, I mean, I generally want to find a way to make this raid harder and more like interesting, especially for Elite. But what kind of foundation did it give us here? All of this is ads and like a couple of quick boss fights. They would have to add like a secondary boss. Like the only way to make that Grail fight harder, you can't really buff Grail because I mean, how are you going to buff Grail? Like her attacks hit harder, or like when you're mind controlled, like the mind control players try to kill you or something. Like it's really hard to buff Grail because there's not really much opportunity to do that. You need a second boss in that fight to come out, and then you're kind of interfering with the storyline. Like how would that fit with a second boss attacking? But I mean, there's no like real ways unless you want to put like a bunch of like round AoEs or something like that. I mean, this kind of concept here, the skeleton ambush, this is kind of interesting. I'd rather have something like this than like constantly like 30 or 40 like groups of 4 ads at once. So the skeletons kind of spawn from like this like dark puddle. I mean, they're no risk at all. It's just a bunch of ads all at once, so it's more like a DPS fest. I mean, this will be a huge damage comp raid because I mean, all it is just massive ads. And the pool kind of slows you down as well. Well, I guess that's the only one. The one ad has Sonic Shout. I mean, that's literally the only ad that can kill you. I forget which one it was, but one of them has Sonic Shout. But same thing. I mean, you see how far that red dot is away from me. Like, there's no way I could have grabbed that second set of ads because it's like all the way down the hallway up the stairs. And the next set of ads all the way around, like through that tunnel, and then like right by next to the doors. Like I'm trying. Yeah, there was a sonic shout. But yeah, they didn't leave much of a foundation. That's my worry. Like when we were telling this raid's going to be fantastic, it's going to be difficult enough for a regular and elite. There's just nothing to build on. I mean, because all it is 16 minutes worth of ads and like 8 minutes worth of boss fights. And you saw how fast that Grail fight went. So like, yeah, you could buff her health, but I mean at the same time, but what's her buffing her health going to do? Like all her combos are staff based, so I mean, if you're ranging her, then there's no danger. The blood pools spawn, but they're not going to kill you. They just kind of slow you, CC you. I mean, you can move away. Like that's the thing. I guess they could raise your damage cap a lot more, like Deathstroke. Like Deathstroke had a much higher damage cap to be able to break it or blocked. But I mean, at the same time, that phase happens so little. What had happened twice, maybe once or twice. You save a few orbitals, done. you break your damage cap. Deathstroke, at least, you needed to have orbitals and you needed to have like supercharges as well. So I mean, I guess at that point that is something that could add. Without being able to change mechanics or add a boss, they could add a mechanic where like you can't use a supply drop, you can't use an orbital strike, you can't use pets, like stuff like that. Like that'd be easier to add with adding like another level of difficulty to the fight. So I mean, this should be familiar to you guys because it's the hallways in Olympus. And then I drop my combo here because I'm worried about pulling so much. Like I'm just dropping my combo and like not even paying attention to doing it because I'm just like got to pull these ads for the DPS so this raid doesn't take half an hour. That was my mindset. It's not like surviving or like doing anything. It's just like got to pull ads, got to pull ads. Same thing. This is kind of straight out of the Olympus raid too with the fountain there. Yeah, I mean that's what they got to look for. They got to add some kind of like enrage timers or NPC abilities to be able to supplement the difficulty in this raid. Because I'm not trying to make regular like way harder, but the problem is like I'm trying to think I'm legitimately trying to think like how do you make elite out of this? Like all the elite raid's going to be is like spending half the time killing it because obviously the ads are going to have higher health and maybe do a bit more damage, but I mean still that's you're spending the like 75% of the raid on ads. Like how is that elite? I mean Darkside War Factory had a lot of ads as well, but it didn't feel like that because it was all really close together. Like basically you killed like 2 sets of ads, like one in the room, one in the hallway, that was it, and then moved to the next. So here's the last cutscene. I'll be quiet for that.
Patience, husband. Come, father. Show us the Your blood shall water the multiverse.
You have doomed yourself enough. Insolent newcomer, today you face your doom.
Statues, protect us.
Okay, so we got the final boss fight. Once again, like you can see in the background, like it looks really nice and kind of all going back to what I said about all flash and no substance. A little bit annoying with the statues here. They spawn on opposite sides of the map, but the problem is like you're line of sighted from the bubble that the Zeus and Darkseid are fighting in. So you have to like run to the opposite side, grab that statue, then run to the other side, grab that statue. And the problem is that as soon as they spawn, they're attacking. So it's like, okay. Like I'm not as soon as they spawn they're attacking the group, but you can't pull them because you got this bubble line of sighting in the middle. So I mean that's my little pet peeve there because it led to a couple deaths, and that's something that like I mean I guess I could have put like a mass density for that, but I didn't think I'd have to for like statues. But that's just a tanking quirk. It's just like if you can have stuff spawn up on the opposite side like that, don't have them like immediately attack the first person they see. When you're like same thing. As soon as that statue spawned, the effigy of Poseidon, he was already doing like a block breaker, like instantly. He went into that. So if I was on the other side trying to pull the other statue, the effigy of Athena, then there's no way I could have stopped that without it killing a player. But I mean, the statues don't do anything. You just kill them and then wait for the bubble to drop.
I grant you what power I have kept.
But I mean, same thing. Like it looks beautiful, like all space, and we're fighting in like some space. Olympus. Now we get into Zeus. Zeus is delayed. But I mean, Darkseid joins our fight, but like he doesn't like do anything really, and like we're fighting with Darkseid, which I mean that could be a story thing. I don't know about the storyline. we tried awfully hard to kill Darkseid in the raid. Now we're helping him. So these kind of zones here, they do hurt. There's like a 50k dot that you just saw me hit in the Source Storm, so you have to watch out for those. They are moving. But, I mean, they are moving around the outside, so you're still safe in the center as far as I can tell. I don't remember seeing them in the center at all. I guess we'll find out, but I really don't recall them going in the center. They're on the outside. But same thing. I mean, we got healer shields. I mean, I got my mass density in case I need to. I mean, he's got his knockback there. Like, honestly, if they want to make this a little bit more interesting, they should have it like the... I keep referring to the raid. Is it Artifacts? It's the one with Steppenwolf. I think it's Artifacts. Because you can get knocked off his platform and fall and die. I mean, there's no reason why we can't get knocked off this temple and just fall into space and stuff and die. Like, I get pushed back a bunch of times. We should be able to fall off. He also cages you. You take some damage in the cage and it doesn't seem like you can break out of it. I got caged before. I broke out in a few seconds. And then other people will stay in there a lot longer. So I'm not entirely sure how the cage mechanic works, but it's just there. But I mean, same thing. Like Zeus is almost dead. Knocks us back again. This is an issue here. It happened in a couple of the raids I did. Because of these cutscenes mid-fight, if you die or you're trying to like... or if someone dies and you're running over to get a res, they're out. Because of the cutscene. You got no chance to res them because in the cutscene. So that could be, I mean, it's a timing thing, but the same thing that's annoying because it's like you nothing you can do to res that person because the cutscene started. They're going to be out by the time the cog's done. But same thing, the Source Storms come back. I mean, that's it. The only thing that can really kill you in this fight is those Source Storms. Like, and really you have to stand in them for a while. Like I think it takes for like 40, 50k. I got like pushed back into one, kind of moved back, but I mean that's about it. I mean, you can see Amanda Curry is melee hardlight this entire time on Zeus. Why, I'm not too sure, but because it would have been higher damage using like grasping hand and hand clap, but I mean, at the same time, whatever. Maybe it doesn't have multiple armories. But yeah, I mean, that's no one died in melee range this entire time. We didn't have to res like Comrade Diana or Bombshell Diana. That didn't seem to do anything. It's just basically like a tank and spank while watching out for like the Source Storms. And I mean that's the raid. So it's just I'm trying to like wrap my head around how to make this harder. I guess I'll be quiet for the final cutscene here.
The only way to deny Darkseid his power is to return it to the source.
Then I have no choice. I return the source power to the wall.
A change of plans, then. I will destroy Zeus, demolish your council, and finally be done with it.
Your strength did
Victory at last.
Yep, so that's the raid. 16 minutes fads, 8 minutes worth of boss fights, all flash, no substance. So I hope, I legitimately hope that we can get something changed. But at the same time, it's hard to think about. Like, I don't know what they can do. So we'll see you guys in the next video.